Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Midday Live from the News Hub. My name is Portia Gabo. Coming up, the headlines. Over 3,000 validated small-scale miners expected to be cleared by Friday to begin their mining operations. Ghana Geological Survey Authority warns of an imminent earthquake after tremors hit parts of Accra Sunday morning. And also coming up, Eastern Region's representative Abena wins 2018 Ghana's Most Beautiful Beauty Pageant. Coming up in international news, European Court of Justice rules the UK can cancel Brexit without the permission of other 27 EU members. We first begin from the Western region, where government is expected to announce a new policy framework to guide over 3,000 trained former illegal miners on December 14. This was announced by Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah at a media briefing in Takoradi prior to the opening of the National Fifth Policy Summit. A report by Laveridge and Prichum Ochri.
Government in March 2017 placed a 6-month ban on small-scale mining over the destruction of water bodies, farmlands and other natural resources by the activities of illegal mining, popularly called galamsey. Government then launched Operation Vanguard, a task force to clamp down on illegal mining activities. Persons found indulging in the act were arrested and prosecuted, and equipment seized. Yet, much needed to be done by the Vanguard team to sanitize the system. In October 2017, the then Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, addressing a section of the media in Accra, indicated 15% work was achieved in the fight against illegal mining. The former Lands and Natural Resources Minister later announced extension of the ban. The announcement angered stakeholders in the small-scale mining industry, but government will not budge into the call to lift the ban except their operations were streamlined. The Interministerial Committee for Illegal Mining, led by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, as part of measures, launched a roadmap to lifting the ban. Prior to the lifting of the ban, small-scale miners have been vetted. Addressing the media in Takoradi, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah said government will soon announce a new policy framework to guide over 3,000 trained former illegal miners.
The framework that will be announced on Friday will outline the following. 1. How validated and legal responsible miners can mine after the 15th of December. 2. Processes towards dredging and land reclamation in affected areas. 3. Institutional reforms within the mining regulatory agencies. 4. Legal reforms in the mining sector. And 5. Efforts to avert a resurgence of illegal and irresponsible mining.
We will be speaking with the Director of Operations at the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. But before that, the Ghana Geological Survey Authority has warned of an imminent earthquake following earth tremors that hit parts of Accra Sunday morning. The tremors, which occurred about 7:50 a.m. and lasted few seconds, shook buildings, creating panic among residents.
The earth tremor is reported to have been felt in Oyibi, some parts of Wejagbawe, in the Gassaut municipality of the Greater Accra region, and Kaswa in the Central region on Sunday morning. The stretch is a well-known earthquake zone. Some residents in Wejagbawe, Ablekuma and their environs say they heard the sound of a big bang on their roofs and the ground shook. A resident at Ablekuma observed his building shook. Some residents in Kaswa also felt the tremors. I was watching TV when I felt that the ground was shaking. I was told it was earth tremor.
7 o'clock,
It occurred after 7 a.m. when we were doing our laundry and lasted for about 3 minutes. The ground shook. I thought it was normal, but I was told it was earthquake. The Geological Survey Authority says signs picked up show that the default lines are active, which means an earthquake can occur at any time. The authority says there is cause to worry, especially where the tremor occurred, have human exposure, buildings and societal activities. On December 4, at a Meet the Press encounter in Accra, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Kweku Asumachreme, noted the occurrence of earthquake continues to threaten the country.
In order to mitigate the impact of earthquake in the southern sector of the country, mapping and risk assessment in Nyanyano, Weja, Makati Hills, and surrounding areas were carried out to generate an updated geohazard risk map for planning and decision making. Power outage continues to hamper earthquake monitoring in the country. In order to carry out the 24/7 monitoring of earthquakes in Ghana, government has approved the installation of solar power at the Authority Earthquake Seismic Observatory.
He noted government would resource the Ghana Geological Survey Authority with modern equipment in order to help the authority pick up early warning signals. The authority must also bridge the communications gap between it and the general public on time-bound and accurate information. The severest earthquake yet in Ghana was experienced 79 years ago on June 22, 1939, with a magnitude of 6.4 on the Richter scale. Since then, there has been a series of earthquakes in more recent times. The most recent, with a 5.9 magnitude and a 33-kilometer depth, occurred on September 26, 2007. 21 years ago, on March 6, 1997, another measuring 4.4 in magnitude and with a depth of 10 kilometers occurred 6.2 kilometers from Bawe. Eben Ejekumbuatin, TV3, Accra.
Meanwhile, senior seismologist at the Geological Survey Authority, Dr. Nicholas Opoku, spoke on New Day earlier this morning about the tremor.
The magnitude was around 4. We are still collecting more data to analyze so that we can come out with exact magnitude. We can't predict an earthquake, even the world over, even in the most developed countries. It has been a problem that seismologists have all over the years, over 100 years, have been researching to be able to predict earthquake. Because when we talk about prediction, we are looking at the exact location where the earthquake is going to occur, the exact time, and the exact magnitude that will occur. And the dynamics of the earth is very complex, and we've not been able to achieve that. But then we can forecast.
There are no indications?
We can forecast. Forecast here means that there can give probabilities that an earthquake can occur in a particular area. That we are able to. The tremors, as we understand it in the media sense, is a small earthquake. And because they are small earthquakes, they don't carry much energy that can damage buildings or collapse buildings. It's only when buildings collapses on people that we fear earthquake. But then if it doesn't cause damage to buildings and it doesn't collapse, then we will not have any cause to fear it.
Let's now speak to the Director of Research and Advocacy at the Bureau of Public Safety, Etonam Koda, and she joins me on the line. Well, good afternoon and thanks for joining us, Etonam. Hello, Etonam.
Hi, hello.
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 Well, Etonam, it was a development that took many by surprise. How did you receive the news too?
Okay, good afternoon to your viewers once again. Just with the development that has been happening, occurring on this particular incident, I must say that we from the Bureau of Public Safety, we see it more as focusing more on preparedness for such occurrences. And I think our previous features have sort of said something similar because, you know, in situations like this, I must say and put on record that it is very difficult. So we don't have an equipment to predict that we're going to experience an earthquake or an earth tremor. Okay, the equipment I know that exists is to measure the magnitude or the intensity. So personally, I was waiting to hear from the authorities and the magnitude, the one we recorded just this Sunday. But be that it may, we should be looking at how prepared are we. And I think probably because we are not so prone, unlike countries like Japan, that are prone to such high magnitude. So they put in serious measures. And I think that there are measures that we can learn from as a nation, because if you walk on the streets of Japan today or any other country like New Zealand, those who are prone to such earthquakes, it has become a way of life. So you realize that as much as in dealing with such issues or such occurrences, it is a two-pronged approach. What we are supposed to do as, let me put it, victims, and what the authorities are also supposed to do. So it is so normal when you get to Japan that even someone in class 1 or 2 knows that the moment an earthquake they experience such occurrences in a classroom, you're supposed to immediately go under the desk. And there are other, so in your home, what are you supposed to do? Do you have to rush out of the building, or you have to get under something to prevent you from being hit from a flying object? So we are looking at it from the educational point of view. We need to educate everyone, especially those living in the earthquake-prone areas, those zones, that this is what is expected of them when it happens, so that nobody lives in the dark as to I didn't have any knowledge, because research has shown that injuries and death has arisen because most people didn't really know what to do, and they try to run out and then are hit by flying objects. So we realize that it is advised that in the event of such occurrences, you need to find yourself under a shelter or something like that. But most important, the authorities, especially on NADMO, we are calling for a multi-stakeholder. They need to hold a multi-stakeholder engagement, because it is beyond just NADMO and maybe the fire service and ambulance services. We need to look at even engaging electricity, the ECG, and engage any other, the water companies, any other stakeholder that needs to be, because it's a wide range of issues. Because other jurisdictions, they have even set up a separate emergency services solely for earthquakes. Okay, so we think that in terms of preparedness, the Bureau can boldly say that we are not prepared. We need to, as a matter of urgency, we are not saying that or predicting is going to happen, but it is better to get prepared and then face it than just sit down and say it's not happened before or it's been a long time, so we are not prone. It is better to get prepared and bridge that communication gap. And then even as a media, what are we supposed to do? And then we can carry it up. So the conversation, we think from the Bureau's point of view, should be centered around how prepared are we, how the emergency services will move in the event such we are faced with such occurrences.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. And Etonam Koda, as Director of Research and Advocacy at the Bureau of Public Safety. And joining me in the studio is George A.C. He is Director of Communications at NADMO. And George, good afternoon and thanks for your time.
Yeah, good afternoon.
First of all, what is NADMO's assessment of the incidents that happened yesterday?
We looked at it at the tremor level, and normally such tremors are around 3.1 and below. So the F shook, we realized that, but we are waiting for the Geological Survey Department to give us the official magnitude and others, so we can take it from there. But fortunately for us, there's not been any destruction of property nor human life, so that is respite for us.
The Ghana Geological Survey is saying that an earthquake is imminent. Is Ghana prepared for any eventuality?
Yeah. Good afternoon. I should have created your views. That is our come in March of this year. NADMO, with our partner agencies, the North Dakota Guards of the U.S., and then, of course, ambulance service, fire service, the Ghana Police Service, Ghana Health Service, all of us. We had a simulation exercise at the stadium in March. Right after the simulation exercise, we had the first F tremor. It was because when we're doing it, some people were asking, why are we not focused on floods? Because that is the predominant hazard that we are confronted with. And we are looking at earthquake, because it's been the last time earthquake occurred was in 1939, as you said. But the experts in the field say the farther away the occurrence, the last one, is from the, it tells you the farther away it is from the last occurrence, it tells you you're getting closer to the next occurrence. And again, they've said again that with these tremors happening, is this an indication to us that there's the likelihood of an earthquake occurring. So yes, we are prepared. We've got simulation exercise to put us on alert and how to respond swiftly to it when it does happen. Fortunately for us as a country, we know the fault lines. This morning your expert was talking about it and along the coast, and of course the Abukwapim range, and of course Makati and others. So we know it. We've been partnering the Assembly and then the Institute of Engineers. When they're putting up buildings, we educate people to put up earthquake resilient buildings in those areas because of some of the reasons that your immediate past speaker alluded to. So yes, NADMO, and for that matter, the partnering agencies. Do
you have adequate equipment in case in the eventuality that you need to evacuate people?
Yes, we need, you see, when the emergency occurs, then state response, okay? So for now, we are prepared in readiness. When it does occur, we send in the things that we need in terms of relief items and others, where we're going to put victims and others in. As far as the health facilities and yes, we've done assessment of that in the simulation exercise, so we'll be able to.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared is Ghana?
I'll put it as 7.
7?
Yeah, I'll put it as 7. We doing after that exercise what the tremors that have happened is waking us and quickened us up. So we are ready to.
Consistently, we have people who still live in earthquake-prone areas.
Yeah.
You did talk about those who live along the fault lines. What is NADMO doing to educate them to move away from these fault lines? Yes,
we keep the education ongoing, but some feel, as I said earlier, the last time it occurred was, so it's not going to happen. But now the tremors are wakening them up, and they are going to realize that, as the geological survey people are saying, is imminent. So we need to be awake to that. And again, the way they are putting out their buildings and the kind of education that we need to give them, we are doing it. And so we need to have that partnership going forward. The awareness is created. The people are conscious of it. What do we do now that they are seeing the signs? When we go back, they are likely to listen to us, and when we want to evacuate them to more appropriate places, they will respond to that properly than as of now. But we keep the education continuous.
Thank you very much for your time. And George is Director of Communications at NADMO. Let's now go to the Ashanti region, where the Electricity Company of Ghana is carrying out rehabilitation works on its distribution network in parts of the Kumasi metropolis. The company is replacing all substandard networks to improve power distribution in Kumasi. A report by Benjamin Edu.
Parts of Kumasi have in recent days experienced intermittent power cuts. The Electricity Company of Ghana says some areas have problems with distribution lines which need to be rehabilitated. Works are ongoing at places like Odeneho, Kwadaso and Ejinase to trace faulty underground cables. Ashanti Regional Public Relations Manager of ECG, Erasmus Tre Beidu, assured of improved quality of service after completion of rehabilitation works.
Over a period of time that the maintenance work will be completed, people will not be seeing this kind of outages, because we'll find a way to feed them from a different source.
Meanwhile, consumers have been urged to pay their bills promptly to improve ECG's revenue generation for service improvement.
And when it comes to payments, we should find the same strength, the same way that we demand supply to also give us payment so that we can continue to serve them, because these things are not for free.
Let's go back to our earlier story where government is to clear over 3,000 validated small-scale miners to begin operations from December 16. Joining me via Skype is Emmanuel Yirinchi. He is the Director of Operations at the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. And good afternoon and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon and good afternoon to your viewers too, especially small-scale miners.
Now, it's been 6 months of inactivity. This news certainly must be pleasant to you, isn't it?
It's been 21 months of inactivity.
Okay.
Yes, it is. We are cautiously happy with the news.
What does this news mean to you and your association?
It means a lot because you agree with me that for the past 21 months, none of our members have been able to engage in their legitimate business with respect to small-scale mining. And so for the government to come out and make this announcement, I think it's something that we are cautiously happy with.
So going forward, what is your association doing to ensure that your members comply with the guidelines?
So basically, we have our task force in place. We have our monitoring team in place. We also have a software that we're going to use to monitor the sector by the name Optimum RM, Optimizing Responsible Mining. What we are going to do is we are going to peer review each other and make sure that members conform to lay down regulations, and those recalcitrant ones will also be brought to book and be exposed. That's what we are going to do to ensure that sustainable small-scale mining is done in this country.
Well, thank you very much for your time. And Emmanuel Yirinchi is Director of Operations of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. Coming up is the MTN video report. And today, our concerned journalists report on the collapse of the only school building at Iswate in the Bonafu region. He is appealing to stakeholders to come to the aid of the community.
Speaking from Asuti in the Bonafu region in the Nkranza North District. This early school was established in the year 1986 and it serves about 4 communities. Had it been because of God's intervention, what we will have gotten this morning will have been bad news for the whole country. We had a torrential rain which led to the collapsing of this building. We are appealing to corporate bodies to come to the aid of Asuti to assist to raise a better school building for this community. Looking at a school like this, which is competing with schools in the cities and then the big towns, and having a class or a school building of this is just a structure. You understand? So please, NGOs who have been touched by this particular video should come to the aid of the community and put up a best or a nice structure for the student to also learn and be able to compete. Reporting for TV3 Asuti.
You can also send your video reports via WhatsApp 05514330044. You're still watching Midday Live from the News Hub. We have more news coming up shortly. Do stay with us. Hello again, it's now time for business news. And Energy Bank and First Atlantic Bank have commenced merger talks in order to raise the 400 million cedis minimum capital requirements for banks. There's more in the following report.
Per the MOU, Energy Commercial Bank and First Atlantic Bank will join forces and further hunt for an additional partner in order to meet the new capital levels, since the financial states of the two banks will still fall short of the 400 million cedis. Granted the two banks merge, the stated capital level will be a little over 228,000 Ghana cedis. Energy Commercial Bank's initial public offering to help it meet the minimum capital requirement was unsuccessful, as it could not meet the minimum amount of 68 million cedis. Commercial banks have 14 working days to meet the minimum capital requirements. It is unclear if the banks will still be able to meet the mark considering the processes the Bank of Ghana employs in approving measures. 22 banks have so far met the minimum capital requirement.
In other business news, government has secured $4.5 million from Acre Energy to train 200 Ghanaians in the Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Program. Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma, who made this known at a news conference in Accra, said 200 skilled workers have already been trained in the industry to ensure that more of the jobs in the sector are performed by Ghanaians.
The Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity AOGC program was launched in November last year to create opportunities for Ghanaians in the upstream oil and gas sector. The Information Minister, Kojo Ponkroma, underscored the relevance in developing the capacity of Ghanaians.
The aims of the project include to develop the capacity of Ghanaians in core technical areas such as welding and metal fabrication, pipe fitting, non-destructive test technicians, drilling engineers, mechanical technicians, etc., so that they can take jobs in this part of the oil industry. You have a lot of those jobs, or a good chunk of those jobs, taken up by foreign nationals, and the incomes that flow from there are expatriated to their countries.
He said the AOGC Secretariat has been placed under the Petroleum Commission to ensure the realization of the objectives of the program.
The Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Program has secured a $4.5 million project which will train about 200 Ghanaians. The program and the trainings will last maximum a year. There are some that take only 3 months, some that take 6, some that take 9 months. Maximum in about a year, these 200 persons should be done and then should find space in the upstream skilled oil and gas sector.
Training for the next batch starts in January, and by December, the last cohort should have completed.
The Minister of Communications, Esla Osu-Ekufo, says a successful digitization of Ghana's economy hinges on improved communications infrastructure. She explained utilizing the latest technology to connect people and enhance productivity in businesses is key for development.
Of Communications, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, indicated people, technology and processes are needed for the digitization of the economy to take off.
Now the people have traditional skills which may not be quite relevant for the digital age that we're in. And so we need to provide them with the correct skills in this current environment to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that digitalization is bringing. We need to utilize the latest technology to connect people and enhance productivity in businesses.
She observed a successful takeoff of the envisaged digital economy will bring governance closer to the citizenry, as well as make it easier for people to access government services.
We can't continue to be pushing pen or using typewriters when we're moving towards using tablets, cloud infrastructure and all that. So we need to look at all those aspects of the new work environment that we're in, and government is determined to facilitate that.
Minister of Communications, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, was hopeful that the industry, which is largely led by the private sector, needs a supportive environment to grow.
They can innovate, partner government in many of these areas, and make a decent profit and plow some back into payment of taxes for government to utilize in financing our development. And we know that at the end of the day, it will inure in enhanced services to the people, ease of doing business, provide growth and unleash the energies of our young people and enable them to innovate and utilize these skills to also earn a decent living.
The processes of digitization has changed how consumers behave, how industrial activity is organized, and how government operates.
And as it for business news, let's now go to the Central Region, where the Minister of State in charge of tertiary education, Professor Kwesi Yankah, says he is expecting a response from the National Council for Tertiary Education about introducing a centralized admission system for tertiary institutions. The minister was speaking at Agona Kunyako in the region when he met with some volunteer teachers in the area. A report by Lucy Ayambela.
The centralized admission process, when introduced, will offer applicants a common platform to select their choice of tertiary institutions. Minister of State in charge of tertiary education, Professor Kwesi Yankah, raised concern about the number of students who are unable to enter tertiary institutions.
The NCT should come out with a formula that will enable some D7 students who are particularly have gotten just one D7. You may be combining your D7 with B3s and A1s and so on and so forth. Why should one single D7 you got stop you from going into a university, particularly where the subject or the course you are going to do in the university may have very little to do with mathematics. But meanwhile, D7 is not a failure.
The minister's visit to the volunteer teachers was to laud them for their patriotism. Richmond Amwa is a volunteer teacher.
They are all our children. Apart from doing the usual work that we've been asked to do, at least we should do the work of God too. It's a sacrificial thing that we all need to come and want to. Okay.
Well, coming up is sport news with Yao Ofosulabi. Do stay with us. And Eastern Region's representative Abena is winner of the 2018 Ghana's Most Beautiful. Born Naomi Obin, the second-year BSc in Administration student of the University of Ghana, beat competition from 3 other poised finalists, while aside winning a 10,000 cedi prize package. She was presented with a plush Sangyong Tivoki SUV. And joining me in the studio this afternoon as the freshest queen, Abena, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
What does this win mean to you?
Yeah, a lot, because people really invested in me and I actually made them proud. So I'm just happy with myself because I've been able to achieve some parts of my self-actualization need. At age 14, I knew I wanted to become the next queen, maybe in some years to come. I didn't know it was going to be so soon. So I took the mantle and came for audition, and God being so good, yeah, I'm here being the queen. And I'm just grateful. So this means a lot to me.
In the history of Ghana's Most Beautiful pageant, you are the youngest queen. Did you have a game plan?
No, not game plan. I always had this in mind. I'll go on stage to give out my best. I was just myself throughout the competition. So what you see on stage is who I am. So I wasn't having anything, no game plan, nothing. Mine was to go on stage, deliver, and then bring out the best in me.
Well, as a queen, you're expected to embark on a project. Tell us about your project.
Okay, so my project is on HIV/AIDS. I'll be campaigning against HIV/AIDS because in 2014, my region recorded to have the highest HIV prevalence. So I'll choose some random schools. My target is mainly the youth in SHS schools because we are known to be sexually active. So I'll pick some random schools and then visit 2 schools each month and campaign against HIV with some health personnel.
Well, you hold on. Let's see how Abena won competition yesterday.
In fourth place is Afra.
Afra is 4th place. She's a 3rd runner-up.
To the 3rd position, that goes to Wekia.
Wekia gets 3rd place, and she gets 6,000 Ghana cedis cash. It looks like a 2-horse affair now. Will it be Abena or Or will it be Ohima? The judges will say shortly. The winner for GMB 2018 is
Abena.
And Abena gets he has given the victory. I will be good and given the victory. He has given the victory. All the days of my life I praise you. Everything that I have now you give to me, Baba. Lord, I say for your love I'm grateful. Yes, you love me plenty, you came to die for me. Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nissi, I am that I am. Ooh, oh, you're sent around. There's no one else like you. Lion of Judah, you're the man. Just give him a victory.
Okay, this proved to me that hard work really pays. You see, I gave in my all and then God rewarded me with this crown. So to all my young ladies out there, nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. I can't remember when I was giving in my all, people thought I was all over the place. People thought I was rushy. People thought I behave as if I know too much. But that is who I am.
Let's talk about the crowning moment. It was a close call. At that moment, at that point, what was going through your head?
Oh my God, you wouldn't like to know. I was so tense, I was scared because Ohima is equally good. She's so good. So I was just having this thought, so what if Ohima wins? But I had to encourage myself, like, no, Abena, you've done well. You can also win. The way you are having the same thought, Ohima can win, the same thing, you should believe in yourself that you can win. And I was so surprised. I didn't even hear my name when it was called. But here I am.
The winner for GMB 2018 is
Abena.
And Abena gets.
Well, still in the studio with me is Abena. So Abena, how does it feel watching yourself all over again?
It's just funny and I'm happy. I'm so happy. I was tense when I was standing there with Ohima because she's so good. I was just scared. But I had to believe that you can also win. Yes.
So do you intend working with the other contestants?
Sure, yes. I'm having that in mind. You know, we are having some health personnel among us, Rekia and then Tawa. So, and what I'm doing is about health. I have to work with them. Together, everyone will achieve more.
So when do you intend starting your project?
Soon. Very, very soon.
For all those young people in Ghana looking up to you, just give them one message.
Okay, so I want to tell people who are of my age or even below that there's nothing impossible. You being young or age is just a number. Outside Ghana, we have people who are 17 and are doctors. Why can't we have the same thing here in Ghana? That is what always motivated me. That I'm young, but I would like to work with big people. They should always dream big. They should always dream big and then go for it. They should see themselves in certain places and they should be it.
Thank you very much, Abena, and congratulations once again. So here you have it, Ghana, the freshest queen in the country, Abena, Ghana's most beautiful. And that's it for Midday Live. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Portia Gabo. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Good afternoon.